There is something that lives inside every human being, something that cannot be named, cannot be measured, and cannot be destroyed. It is not muscle, it is not intelligence, it is not wealth or power or status. It is something far older, far deeper, and far more stubborn than any of those things. It is the unbreakable will to rise. It is the refusal to stay down. It is the voice that whispers and sometimes screams from the deepest chamber of the soul, saying, I am still here, I am still standing, and you cannot defeat me. I want you to think about a moment in your life when everything fell apart, when the ground beneath your feet gave way and you found yourself falling into a darkness you didn't know existed. Maybe it was the loss of someone you loved. Maybe it was a failure so public and so painful that you wanted to disappear from the face of the earth. Maybe it was a disease that crept into your body uninvited and tried to make itself at home. Maybe it was poverty, betrayal, loneliness, or a combination of all of these things arriving at once as if the universe has scheduled them all for the same terrible day. And I want you to remember what happened next. I want you to remember that you got up. Maybe not immediately, maybe not gracefully. Maybe you crawled before you walked and walked before you ran, but you got up. And that moment, that single, silent, unglamorous moment of rising is the entire speech. Everything else I say is just the elaboration of that truth. You cannot be defeated unless you choose to be. That is not a motivational slogan painted on a gym wall. That is not the hollow encouragement of someone who has never suffered. That is the verdict of history, written in the lives of every man and woman who ever faced the impossible and refused to flinch. History is not a story of the powerful crushing the weak and walking away victorious. History is a story of the human spirit outlasting every force that tried to extinguish it. The defeated empires, the fallen tyrants, the broken systems, they all had one thing in common. They underestimated the people they tried to destroy. They forgot that you can cage a body, but you cannot cage a soul. You can silence a voice, but you cannot silence an idea. You can break a person's bones, but you cannot break their belief in themselves. Not if that belief runs deep enough, not if it is rooted in something that goes beyond ego and vanity and into the sacred territory of purpose. Let me tell you about the nature of defeat. Real defeat is not losing a game. It is not failing an exam. It is not being rejected, overlooked, dismissed, or knocked down. These are not defeats. These are instructions. Every single time life has knocked you down, it has been teaching you something that comfort never could. It has been building in you a resilience that ease never would have created. The person who has never suffered has never truly been tested, and the person who has never been tested does not yet know what they are made of. But you who have walked through fire, you who have survived the unsurvivable, you who have woken up on mornings when waking up felt like its own act of courage, you know what you are made of, and what you are made of is extraordinary. There is a philosophy that has guided warriors, philosophers, kings, and ordinary people throughout the ages. It says that the obstacle is the way. It says that the very thing that stands between you and your destination is not your enemy. It is your teacher, your trainer, your most honest advisor. Every mountain you are forced to climb makes your legs stronger for the next one. Every storm you are forced to endure makes your roots go deeper into the earth. Every person who told you that you would never make it, every system that tried to hold you back, every circumstance that seemed designed to destroy you, all of it, every last bit of it, was secretly working in your favor because it was forging you into someone that ease and comfort never could have created. I want to speak to the person who is exhausted, the person who has been fighting for so long that the idea of continuing feels almost cruel. The person who has given everything they have and then been asked to give more. I want to speak directly to you, and I want you to hear me clearly. Your exhaustion is not weakness. It is evidence. It is proof that you have been in the arena, that you have been fighting, that you have refused to sit on the sidelines while your life was being decided without you. The tired warrior is not a defeated warrior. The tired warrior is the one who has been in the battle the longest. And it is precisely because you have lasted this long that you are the most dangerous thing your obstacles have ever faced. Think about water. Water is soft. Water yields. Water bends around every obstacle in its path without complaint, without aggression, without force. And yet water carves canyons. Water splits mountains. Given enough time, water will wear down the hardest stone on earth. Not because it is violent, not because it is loud, not because it announces its power to everyone around it, but because it is consistent, patient, and absolutely relentless. Be like water. Bend when you need to bend. Yield when yielding is wisdom. Flow around the obstacles that cannot be moved and through the ones that can, but never stop moving. Never stop flowing toward the ocean that is calling your name. People will try to define you by your worst moment. They will try to take the lowest point of your story and use it as the title of the entire book. Do not let them. Your worst moment is not your identity. Your hardest chapter is not your conclusion. Every person who has ever done something great has a chapter in their story that they would rather not read aloud. A chapter full of failure, full of shame, full of darkness. But here's what separates the ones who rise from the ones who don't. The ones who rise refuse to let that chapter be the last one. They keep writing. They pick up the pen with shaking hands and they keep writing, even when they don't know how the story ends, even when they can't see the next sentence, because they know that as long as they are still writing, the story is not over. You were not built for a life of comfort. I know that might not be what you wanted to hear, but I mean it as the highest possible compliment. The things that were built for comfort, pillows, mattresses, warm blankets, are wonderful things, but they do not change the world. They do not inspire generations. They do not stand at the end of their lives and look back at a landscape transformed by their presence. You were built for something harder and therefore something greater. The difficulty of your path is not a sign that you took a wrong turn. It is a sign that you are headed somewhere worth going. Let us talk about the people who try to defeat you. Because there have been people, haven't there? People who looked at your dreams and laughed. People who used their position, their power, their words, or their silence as weapons against you. People who planted seeds of doubt so skillfully that you almost mistook those seeds for your own thoughts. I want you to understand something about those people. Their attacks on you were never really about you. People who are secure in themselves, people who are building something meaningful with their own lives, do not have the time or the desire to tear others down. The ones who came for you were fighting their own wars, carrying their own wounds, and they chose to aim their pain outward instead of dealing with it inward. That is their tragedy, not your verdict. Do not carry their judgment as if it were truth. Do not decorate the walls of your mind with opinions that were never meant to help you grow. And then there are the invisible enemies. The ones that live inside your own head, the voice that says you are not smart enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough. The doubt that wraps itself around every dream like a vine around a young tree, slowly squeezing the life out of something that was trying to reach the light. This is the most dangerous enemy you will ever face. Not because it is the strongest, but because it knows all your secrets. It knows your fears before you have named them. It knows where you are most vulnerable, and it goes there first. But here is the thing about that voice. It is loud, but it is not right. It is persistent, but it is not powerful. It is a storyteller that specializes in fiction, and the most important thing you will ever do in your life is learn to disagree with it. Learn to say out loud, in the dark, when no one is watching, I hear you, and I am going anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. Let me say that again because it is one of the most misunderstood truths in the human experience. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision that something else is more important than the fear. The brave person and the coward feel the same fear. What separates them is the choice they make in the presence of that fear. You have already made that choice more times than you realize. Every morning you got up when staying in bed felt safer. Every conversation you had when silence felt easier. Every risk you took when certainty was not available. Every time you chose hope over despair, movement over paralysis, love over bitterness, you were being courageous. You were defeating the part of you that wanted to give up. And that, more than any external victory, is the truest form of triumph. I want to talk about legacy, not the legacy of monuments and medals and monuments, but the legacy of a life fully lived, the legacy of a person who refused to be made small by their circumstances. When you stand at the end of your days and look back at the life you built, the question will not be how many times you failed. The question will be how many times you got back up. The question will not be how many enemies you defeated. The question will be how many times you defeated the enemy within yourself. The question will not be whether life was easy. The question will be whether you were faithful to your own greatness, even when greatness felt impossibly far away. There is a story told of bamboo. When bamboo is planted, nothing visible happens for 4 years. For 4 entire years, you water it, you tend it, you nurture it, and you see nothing above the ground. Nothing. A person who did not know better would give up. A person who did not know better would assume that nothing was happening, that the seed was dead, that the effort was wasted. But underground, during those 4 silent years, the bamboo is building a root system so vast, so deep, so interconnected that when it finally breaks through the surface, it grows 90 feet in 5 weeks. 90 feet in 5 weeks. Because the foundation was ready. Because the roots went deep enough to hold something extraordinary. Your silent years are not wasted years. Your underground seasons are not empty seasons. What is being built in you during the hardest chapters of your life is the root system that will hold everything that is coming. Do not mistake the silence for absence. Do not mistake the darkness for the end. You cannot be defeated because you have already decided that defeat is not an option. Not because life will always go your way. It will not. Not because the pain will always be manageable. Sometimes it will not be. Not because every dream you have will come true exactly as you imagined it. Some will arrive differently. Some will arrive late. And some will turn into something better than you originally planned. But you cannot be defeated because you have made a choice, a quiet, sacred, unshakable choice to remain, to endure, to keep showing up for your own life with whatever you have on whatever day you are given. That choice is yours. No one can take it from you. No circumstance can revoke it. No person can steal it. It lives in a place inside you that the world cannot reach. So here's what I want you to carry with you when you leave this place. I want you to carry the knowledge that you are harder to break than anything that has ever tried to break you. I want you to carry the certainty that your story is not finished, that the best chapters are not behind you, that the version of you that is coming is more powerful and more whole than the version of you that has been through the fire. I want you to carry the memory of every time you survived what felt unsurvivable, every time you found strength you didn't know you had, every time life said this is the end and you look back at it and said, no, not yet. Because that is who you are. You are the one who keeps going. You are the one who finds a way. You are the one who, when the darkness is at its thickest, becomes the light, not for show, not for applause, but simply because that is your nature. That has always been your nature. And no force in this universe, no enemy visible or invisible, no circumstance temporary or prolonged, no voice inside or outside your head has ever been able to change that fundamental truth about you. You are undefeated. You have always been undefeated, and you will remain undefeated because you have decided that you will. And that decision, made in the quiet of your own heart, is the most powerful force on earth. You cannot be defeated. Not today, not ever.